This is Conversations. Some people think leadership comes to them easy and natural, and to others, it is as convoluted as a game of chess. Constantly, groups and individuals are looking for people to take up the mantle and responsibility for leadership. Most people are unsure about whether to aspire to be great and effective leaders. Is leadership good? Is leadership great? Do I have to pursue leadership or I do not have to pursue leadership? All those questions and more will be answered right here in the Health and Responsible Show. My name is Rhoda and this is Conversations.
Never in the history of the world has there been a stringent demand, call and cry for leaders as there is now. Leaders who understand where they are going. Leaders who have been where we want to be and can handhold us to get to that point. Leaders with a vision who can steer the affairs of our lives. But how do we find such leaders? Who knows where we want to be and can help you get there? Even so, how do I become that great leader? If you have a desire, a mission to be the leader that changes the trajectory of this world, the book for you is Becoming a Great Leader, a compelling read by Moses Bafoewa that takes you on a journey that walks you through how you can effectively lead yourself and those who rely on you for leadership. Now more than ever, the world is crying out for leaders who will be the change makers. Will you be one? Find out how in Becoming a Great Leader. Grab a copy now.
Welcome back from that break. If you just joined our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification icon for more updates about our channel. Every day of our lives, conversations rule our day. Conversations help us to make decisions, and they give us impressions about people, our daily activities, and societies. On Conversations today, I get to discuss and review the book, Becoming a Great Leader, written by Mr. Moses Bafoewa, a leadership expert, consultant, and youth worker. Mr. Moses Bafoewa is a strong ambassador for leadership, for mentorship, and youth work, and has constantly proven his capacity to build young and effective emerging leaders for the future of our world.
Real leadership means making real sacrifices. We live in a generation where we want a lot of things. We want to live a comfortable life. But sacrifice is what people will remember. A lot of things that people will not remember. But one of the things that people will remember is the sacrifices you make.
In my personal interaction with him, he has proven his diverse knowledge in all the fields that he's in. As a mentor, he has empowered me for opportunities and places that I could never have had on my own. In the studio today, I have three very interesting and entertaining guests who all played a very vital role in the successful launch and distribution of the book. We'll be reviewing their intriguing moments and their deep thought processes as they encountered or engaged with the book, right from the editing process to the launch and then the successful distribution of the book. I have personally read the book, and I'm amazed by the thought processes, the phases, the concepts and depth of leadership written by the young Ghanaian author and leadership expert. In his book, and I quote, "Leadership is an art and therefore can be learned." My guests are all pumped up for this exciting review. When I return, I'll introduce the guests with me and my studio. You are all welcome back from that break. Once again, this is Conversations. And with me in the studio today, I have Mr. Isaac Asari, a personal friend to the author. I'm glad to have you here with me, sir.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great. To his immediate left, I have Mr. Peter Pete, a personal friend of mine, who is also a youth worker, a video editor, and the student of the University of Ghana, Legon. I'm glad to have you here with me,
I'm
Miss.
so excited to be here. Thank you very much.
Welcome. And then to her immediate left, I have with me Mr. Ruben Anani, who has been a personal teacher to me. And he has also been the editor for the book Becoming a Great Leader. It's amazing and great to have you here with us, sir.
Thank you very much, Golda.
Before we zoom into our conversations, don't you agree with me that Steffi is having such a beautiful dress on?
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier that she's looking like a peacock among other birds.
It looks good.
Amazing. That's great. Well, I would like to begin with you, Miss Steffi. What do you think about conversations? How important is conversations in our everyday lives?
Okay, thank you very much. And when I saw the name of the program, Conversations, I started thinking back on conversations that I had with my mentor, Mr. Moses, with my friends, with you as well. And I was thinking about the things that have come out through those conversations. Conversations, I think, are very key and very critical in the success of anything we are going to do. Everything that we actually want to do. When you have a meeting, what you're actually doing is having a conversation on what your next move should be and how you should get to the next level of whatever project you're working on. So for me, I believe conversations are very key and very critical to the success of any movement, of anything that you start. And I'm excited to be on this show, Conversations, because we are going to be discussing things that are going to change minds, going to transform people's thought process, and start putting words. Words are seeds, I believe. And so the words we speak are going to be seeds that will grow in people's minds and cause them to move in a different direction than they initially or they originally moved in. So I'm excited about today's show. Thank you.
It looks like Steffi has put some pressure on the children today. But then,
No pressure.
interesting. But then Steffi mentions that words are seeds, and majority of the time, words end up being transcribed into books.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, Mr. Ruben, what do you think? How relevant do you think books are in our society today?
Books are made up of words, and I always say that books are sacred scriptures that give thought to our emotions. Books help you develop your mind. They give you a place to go when you have nowhere to go. Book is that friend that does what no friend else does. It invests so much into you and then does not disturb you. So books are very important to us. I remember growing up myself in a place where I felt so much out of place. I had siblings and I was amongst them. And we were three people, and the two clicked better and I didn't fit so much into the company. And I was in my preteens, but I was always depressed. So I was introduced to books, Weep Not Child by a sister of mine. And when I read it, it found a place in me, and I felt like this is what I want to do. When I gave myself to reading, my academics improved, my communication was polished, my interactions got beautiful, and it makes me fit into every conversation that I find myself in, and not just conversations, meaningful conversations, and I get a chance to make impact and to build into people's lives as well. So books are very important. Books must make up your life. You must digest them if you really want to grow.
So still on you with books. You mentioned that you're introduced to reading.
Yes.
Most people at a very young and tender age are not really introduced to reading. Hence, when they are growing up, they find reading very difficult and they struggle with it. But how relevant do you think reading is in the success of in building our communities and building our societies, in building people as individuals on themselves or on their own? How relevant do you think that is?
Reading is very important for the growth of any individual, any community, any institution, any nation, and the world. Every information is transcribed even from 3,000 years ago. And the world, I keep saying that it's not a new place. The world had existed. And it's if you really want to grow, you need to put the blocks together to reach a certain stage. We are just at a certain stage. What happens in the next phase of life? Everything is in books. This is where knowledge is. This is where great men have left their mark. This is a place where you can sit down, read to discover yourself, and have real conversations with your own self. Books are mirrors. If you don't read books, you don't have reflections. So if there is no book, you are going to be walking in an eternal darkness for the rest of your life, and your purpose on earth, I'm very sure, is not going to be really achieved.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Mr. Rubin mentions that reading gives us the opportunity to have a conversation with yourself. Coming back to the main focus of our discussion, we are talking about books, the book, Reading, Becoming a Great Leader, written by Mr. Moses Bafo Ewa. As a personal friend to the author, how did you feel when you heard he was writing a book about leadership?
I was particularly excited because that is him. That is what he's lived for all his life. As a teenager, he was leading his peers. As a young adult, he believed in mentoring others. So that has been his life. So it is not like he read something and he's trying to tell people what he's read. He is a living example of what leadership is. Today, he has mentees all over Ghana, on the continent of Africa, and in Asia. Just last year, I remember Germany joined Youth Arise organization. So he has mentees all over. So he's an epitome of leadership. That is what he has lived for all his life. So, I'm sorry. Because if such a person writes something like that, he's a living example. He's gone through all the processes. And so he understands it better. So I was particularly intrigued because he will be talking to hearts. He will be giving you practical lessons that can transform the way you think. The book, I think, can make you unlearn certain things that may not help you to develop yourself well. And the book can make you relearn new things. So if such a person puts his thoughts together and puts such a book together, I am particularly excited that it's going to help people a lot. Exactly.
Interesting. A living example. You quote Mr. Moses Bafo Ewa as a leadership expert.
Mhm.
So to you, Mr. Rubin, you were one of the people privileged to read the manuscripts of the book as an editor.
Yeah.
What were some of the things you found intriguing about the book?
Well, receiving that manuscript was actually a miracle for me. I've read about leadership before. I've encountered people that spoke to me about leadership. But there was this time that I was called for a job, a project with Mr. Moses Bafo, and then I happened to eavesdrop on the workshop he was holding, and I became the only participant of that workshop that didn't pay money. As in, my perspective on leadership was shifted, and from that moment, I began to check myself. And from time, I got closer to him, and I never stopped learning. So when the work landed on my desk, I had other projects going on. I called everyone and I told them that there is a changing moment in my life. I have to reset. So I put everything away, my personal works, I put them away, and I moved from where I used to stay in the city. I moved to the outskirts so I could have the peace to work on this project, because this person has shaped my understanding of what leadership is. And if I'm ever going to do his work, I should be able to match up to that standard. That is being honest. So I started reading the manuscript, and magic, like butterflies, because I was beginning to find out, it's like I was discovering myself all over again. I knew about leadership, but I didn't know that before I moved I've been in positions of leadership, but I never knew that before I get to those, I had to master my own art of leadership. So I began to check myself out. And again, I connected with people to see if they know about this. And to most of my friends, my constructive friends, it's been new to almost all of us. And there is something about the book. The book is practical. If you read the book, it is a manual that repairs your everyday life. It is a manual that keeps your life in check. And while I was editing, I was working on myself. My confidence in some areas that was lacking was improved. I was able to affect the life of my family. I was able to affect the life of my friends and my community to a large extent. So the book is not just a stash of paper. This is a building block for everyone's life, especially the lives of young people. This book, editing this book, has been a greater blessing to me. And if I should get a chance to glean it, I would never stop going through that book. Yeah, the book has been very important to my life.
Do you think the environment played a key role in the reading process?
The environment gave me the chance to tune in to the frequency at which the book was vibrating. The book was living. The words were alive. The words are still alive. Till today, I read that book almost every day of my life. I share it with my family, my friends, my nieces, my nephews. I want to get their points of views because I'm not a selfish person. If something is good, you share with people.
Not just how important the book is, but then the words within the book are also very crucial.
Very
Crucial.
Very.
Yeah, interesting. Well, Mr. Ruby mentions that the book is like a manual. And for you, Mr. P, I know you personally, and I know you are leading a group of people. How is this book impacting your leadership journey?
All right, so I'm leading a team which runs youth workers. I'm leading a youth work team in the eastern region of Ghana. And one of the chapters that still stands out for me when I'm leading my team is the chapter on teamwork, on team building. Because one of the things that I've been trying to do for some time now is to build a team that stays or that stands for long. And, I picked the book Becoming a Great Leader, and in chapter 8, I see team building, and I'm like, this is what I have been waiting for, because I see that, there's a process, and I understand that when you're building a team, it goes through the forming stage. It goes through processes. People may drop off, people will stay. So it gave me this level of confidence and encouragement that as I'm building my team, I should be prepared for the process and some things that I should be doing with teams. And one of the first things that he speaks about in building an effective team is having regular meetings. And he says that, some meetings may not seem effective enough, but if you really want to bring people together and grow the team to a certain point, then, or for them to really buy into the vision, constant meetings is important. And so after reading that chapter, one of the things I've really been doing in my team now is regular meetings, weekly meetings, bi-weekly meetings, in-person meetings, virtual meetings, calling, checking up, finding out what's going on, what's the progress on this, what's the progress on that. And I realized that little by little, the team is beginning to bond, and people in the team are beginning to better appreciate what the work or what the vision we are trying to achieve is. So for me, if we say the book is a manual, it is no joke. And the chapter on the process, preparation for leadership, and I read about the phases you have to go through, the uncertainty phase, and I'm like, okay, I'm safe. I'm going through a process to get to a certain point, the knowledge phase, all of that. And so for me, it's been a guide for me in my self-leadership, in my team leadership. And I think that one of the best things I've ever done is to have a manual called Becoming a Great Leader. So that's it for me.
Amazing. That's quite an intriguing and insightful one there. How do you feel carrying the words of your mentor?
How do I feel carrying the words of my mentor? I feel super privileged. One of the things that stood out for me when I got the chance to read this book was that she is my mentor, and I'm always excited to hear him speak. I'm always excited to be around when he's speaking, when he has something to say. One of my very first meetings with Chief, actually come and see him without a notebook. So every time I go and meet Chief, I'm with a book, taking notes of the things he's saying. And so when I got the book, Becoming a Great Leader, when you read the book, I hear his voice, I can picture him on stage speaking, and there's some words that that this is Chief speaking, and then it's like you hear his voice in the book. And as I carry the book, as I read the book, I feel like he's with me everywhere I go. And if I'm feeling the leadership challenge, I cannot pick up a phone every minute and call Chief, because Chief may be somewhere in a meeting doing something important. And so one of the things I have with me is his words, the book. And through the book, I get to ask him questions, and it helps build my leadership better. My mentorship experience with him over the past 3 to 4 years has been nothing but amazing. Reading the first book, Force of Mentorship, really blew my mind and set me on a path to be a mentee. And so getting the copy of Becoming a Great Leader, realizing that one of the key things she usually speaks about is leadership. set me on a path of appreciating his words more. And I mean, it's my manual, it's my guide. His words guide me. When I'm leading my team and I'm confused at a point, I hear his voice in the book and it gives me comfort. It gives me strength to carry on in my leadership. So as a mentee, I am super privileged and super excited to have my mentor's words with me everywhere I go and at every time. Because he said leadership is an art, and if it's an art, it can be learned. How do you learn? A teacher teaches. How does a teacher teach? When you read the book of The Force of Mentorship, you realize that mentorship is practically like teaching. And so by reading his book, by having his guide, I'm learning. He's mentoring me in the art of leadership. And so for me, how do I feel carrying my mentor's words around? I feel super excited. I feel super privileged. And I feel like I get the opportunity to go in depth, to really hear, to really feel his thoughts and understand his thoughts. I remember I was reading the book and at a point I was teary. When he was talking about the part where he got to a point where he wanted to, he felt like giving up, that he was too deep in what he was doing. And I was like, oh my God, this is Chief speaking. My eyes were all watery at that moment. And I was so excited. Like, I was so encouraged hearing him speak that, it gets to a point. You get to a point where you don't feel, but you have to carry on because you are deep. And I desired that I will go deep in my leadership, that I will have depth. So I'm super excited to have my mentor's words with me.
You're super excited to have your mentor's words with you. And she mentions that one of the things that hits her is the fact that she gets to know that just like her mentor also wanted to give up at a point in time. We will go on a quick break, and when we return, I get to ask my guests in the studio with me their final words and how the book can help society and the nation.
My perspective on leadership was shifted. And from that moment, I began to check myself. And from time, I got closer to him and I never stopped learning.
And I see, don't give up. You have to fight to become a great leader. Because all we have to, if you want to really achieve something great, then you must put up a fight. And then I'm like, okay, let's do this.
A lot of people are home who have lost their confidence. They have ambitions, but they don't know how to get to it. This conversation is going to nurture them, it's going to teach them, it's going to build that confidence that it is possible.
You are welcome back from that break. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and comment. Share your views with us and questions that you have on your mind. Now back to Mr. Isaac. You mentioned that Mr. Moses Bafoiwa is a living example and even go as far as quoting some experiences from his childhood. How do you think the book can help emerging and established leaders in their quest to find solutions to the numerous challenges they face every day as leaders in their pursuits in becoming a great leader?
First of all, I think that for him, he learned, he read. I mean, he's educated himself. He's not sat under only seminars and training sessions. He has educated himself. He's read. He's done everything to prepare him. So, and when you read the book, it has a cue there. So this platform or this book, it's going to do just that. It's going to open our eyes. If you want to be better, if you want to be great, because it says being a great leader, not just a leader. So if we want to be great leaders, then we will have to be prepared. We will have to learn. We will have to be like him. We have to go through the process to become the best, to become a great leader. He was talking about being global leaders one day, not just in your community, not just on the national stage, not just on the continental stage. We are talking about global. So we'll have to prepare. So this book will prepare us. Will prepare the reader. That's my take.
And to you, Ms. Steffi, as a young and emerging leader, can you share with us an experience to help my viewers there who want to find solutions to the numerous challenges that they are having as an emerging leader?
Okay, so one key experience I have to share is that I was doing a particular work and I needed someone to give me permission to do something. And it became a battle, it was don't come, don't come. Like I said, I want to come. He said, don't come. And I went to the book, the 10th chapter on fight. And I see, don't give up. You have to fight to become a great leader. Because if you want to really achieve something great, then you must put up a fight. And then I'm like, okay, let's do this. So I went on the fight. And through that, I found a solution. And I got the way, I got my way. I got the way to do what I wanted to do. That's one key experience for me. And also recently, I was going to have a meeting with a group of people. And it looked like the numbers were not going to show up. And so the team people were like, oh, let's cancel the meeting. Let's call it off. Let's not do this. Let's not have the meeting. And then I go to the book and I see some meetings may seem ineffective, but there are ways of building the team or building people together. So then I'm like, no, we're going to have this meeting. It's going to happen. We're going to have the meeting. And so we are there together at a point. The numbers look few, then people start adding up. And we have a very interesting conversation with the goals and comes. And through that, people began to form relationships. People met people that were on the same scale with them, or should I say in school. So I met someone who can assist me with my course. So we could have a conversation and build it from there and have meaningful relationships. So for me, I think that the book is a solution. Like I said, a manual, a guide, a solution to leadership challenges that you might face in your process of growing to becoming a great leader. So I think that's what I'll say. And when I read the chapter on preparation as well, and he speaks about the uncertainty phase and the fact that a lot of young people move from one vision to another vision, trying to, find out what they want to do. And, you realize, unfortunately, people stay in that phase and do not move to the knowledge phase eventually. And for me, I'll say that one of the things that we should take serious as young people is staying committed to one thing for a long time. I've seen that staying committed to Youth Arise organization, staying committed to Mr. Moses for 3 to 4 years now, from 2019 till now, I have seen some unusual growth in my life. I've seen unusual growth in my leadership. I've had unusual convictions on the things that I really want to do and I really want to achieve. And I realize that people marvel when they see me doing some of the things I do, It's like, it feels like, it all just kind of happened. But I realized that it's because I stayed with a particular vision for a very long time and grew with it, stayed with it, took time to understand it and understand my role in that vision is the reason why I'm doing well with my leadership, or the reason why I'm committed to building my team and building my leadership edge. So that's what I think. Thank you.
Insightful. And to Mr. Rubinanani, you had an experience or certain experiences as an editor, having to share what you read with your colleagues and with your friends. And you also mentioned that reading is like a mirror.
Yeah.
Can you share with us an experience for a young, emerging, and an established leader to be able to mirror out their lives through reading this book?
Okay. So, I grew up with my mom, and my mom was going through a very harsh phase of her life, and seeing her pray every time, not just praying, she cries while she prayed, and that left me depressed and broken. And I didn't relate with people a lot, and I lost my confidence. I went to school and I came back like a cemetery, nothing inside of me, decayed boy. When I found a book, it changed the way I saw life. It was just like a new rain fell on me, and I didn't just feel new alone. I was able to, even at my younger age, I was able to convince my mother. I was not just doing it with words, but I had something back in the words. And she saw something beyond her pain because of the book I was reading. At a point, I was not reading just for myself. I was reading so that when I come home today, mommy is going to smile. Mommy is going to laugh. Our situation was going to be different. The situation didn't change, but it moved to a better phase. My words alone didn't do that. But I know that the books I read, the things that the book have invested in me, have been able to help me shape my mom's life, my own life, and we found smile through book, I'd say. So books are very important to every young person everywhere. Whatever the experiences are, whatever is breaking you, the solution is in books. And Being a Great Leader is one of the books that I'm going to highly recommend. It is the manual. It is the game changer. Just get it and your life is going to be totally different. That's all I have to say.
This conversation has been very interesting, and this is just a tip of the iceberg. What should people expect in the coming episodes?
In the coming episodes, I expect that young people will watch this program because they are going to be nurtured. A lot of people are home who have lost their confidence. They have ambitions, but they don't know how to get to it. This conversations is going to nurture them, is going to teach them, is going to build that confidence that it is possible. Whatever you have, like Steffi said, fight. It's not going to be easy. If you want to break the ceiling, if you want to go up there, you have to fight. And so this conversation is for that young man or that young lady who is depressed about something, who feels confused. But this very program is going to give them hope. Not just hope, not just vague hope. Step by step, they will be taken through how they can come out of hopelessness and achieve their dreams. How they can come out of nothing and become global icons. How they can make positive impact in their societies. So every young man watching us now should get the book and tune in all the time, because this will be an avenue to nurture them, to train them, to raise them, to become what they want to be. All their hidden talents and the power in them will come out.
Never in the history of the world has there been a stringent demand, call and cry for leaders as there is now. Leaders who understand where they are going. Leaders who have been where we want to be and can handhold us to get to that point. Leaders with a vision who can steer the affairs of our lives. But how do we find such leaders? Who knows where we want to be and can help you get there? Even so, how do I become that great leader? If you have a desire, a mission to be the leader that changes the trajectory of this world, the book for you is Becoming a Great Leader, a compelling read by Moses Bafoewa that takes you on a journey that walks you through how you can effectively lead yourself and those who rely on you for leadership. Now more than ever, the world is crying out for leaders who will be the change makers. Will you be one? Find out how in Becoming a Great Leader. Grab a copy now.
Before we end the show, I'd like to take the final words of all my panelists, starting with Miss Steffi. Miss Steffi, we'll be discussing and reviewing Becoming a Great Leader by Mr. Moses Bafoewa through conversations. What are your final words for my viewers?
Okay, so for viewers or all those who have the opportunity to watch conversations, I want to encourage you that take this show serious. If you want to have a different perspective on leadership, move away from the usual conversation and have in-depth knowledge on what leadership really is all about and how we can be solution finders and not just problem finders in our continent, in our country, and in the world, then Conversations is the place to be. I'm already super excited about how the first discussion has gone, and I'm looking forward to tuning in every time when the conversation is up to listen to what the panelists have to say about leadership, get different perspectives, different angles on the way where leadership should go and how we can, grow together to be great and effective leaders. So my final words to viewers out there, get a copy of the book first and join in the conversation. Thank you.
Mr. Isaac.
They should tune in.
Tune in at all times.
All times. Tune in.
Amazing. Yeah. And to you, Mr. Ruby.
Well, the conversation is the program where where you experience what life should be. So always tune in, always be a part of the conversation. Anything that comes out of here is directed towards building your life. So always be a part of the conversation. It is the program to watch. Tune in.
There is power in conversations, and leadership is an art. In the next episodes, I'll be engaging my panelists on the first chapter of the book, The Hunt for Leadership. It has been said that everything starts and ends with leadership. Every aspect of our lives is affected by leadership. Failed leadership is costly. In that chapter, we'll be exploring the hunt for leaders, exploring the challenges and effects of leadership through the various examples cited by the author in the book. Dear viewers, I encourage us all to get a copy of the book, which is on sale at the SU bookshop in the SU Tower, located around the Rage Hospital, or you can contact the numbers displayed on the screen below for a copy of the book. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, don't forget to leave them in the comment section. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification icon. My name is Golda, and this has been Conversations. Make a date with me next week, Saturday at 5 p.m. for an exciting episode. Thank you. You know, this takes me back to what Jessica was saying about leaders who are not ready to die and sacrifice for anything. When I read the book, I'm intrigued by the story of the Rwandan genocide, and because you've read some of the stories in the book.
It's interesting you asked me that question, and I bowed down my head, not in shame, but in respect for those that lost their lives, those whose families are living now, remembering those days when the Rwandan genocide happened. And as a media person, I understand the power of media, or the power media plays, or the leadership role that media can play in any society. My personal encounter with that story in the book brought out a lot of sadness. When I read it, I remembered the movie Hotel Rwanda.